Thank you, Eva, and also for your invitation to be here these days. I'm going to inform you, as Eva said, about the dual process model, about how parents are coping with their grief in everyday life. I'm working in my Institute for Parental Coaching and Psychosocial Therapy in the Netherlands. And I'm providing training also for healthcare professionals. And my practice is located in Utrecht in the Netherlands. I work with family constellations, and especially I specialize in the impact of illness and disability in families, especially with the children. Besides that, I'm a lecturer in the College of Pediatric Physiotherapy in Utrecht, and I'm practicing the... Oh, sorry, am I good to hear? Yeah? Yeah, okay. I'm practicing the program Coaching After the Diagnosis for a foundation of CF, and I support parents with children who underwent a liver transplantation. And that's the foundation of the New Wings. Well, let's first focus on living loss. Living loss is described by Manu Keerse. He's professor emeritus in Belgium, and he is a specialist in coping with loss and sorrow. And he described it, it's already described by Olhansky in 1962. And Manu Keerse read it, and he said, we really have to need a term for what parents experience. So living loss was a very good term for that. And living loss is about recurring feelings of loss and grief. And mostly at the most unexpected moments of the day in your life. It can be when you see children playing in the street and you think, oh, my child can never play football, or it can be small things, it can be also big things. But the recurring is every day you will experience that. And it seems so small, but it is so impactful. And just that those things can't be normal, that is where living loss is about. It's a grieving process that never ends. And it's about wounds that will never heal. And it's a different process for everyone. And that's why parents tell me often, I feel so isolated from my friends where I spent my whole life with, and now we have our child and they don't understand us, not really anymore. And they try to, but it's so hard to understand what it means to have a child with an illness or disease. It's different for everyone. And it's not about solving or processing or accepting. That's also where parents often talk about that. People say, oh, you still don't have accepted it, what has happened to your child. And okay, can I accept this? This is a very difficult, words can be very painful for parents. It can touch you in your heart. And it costs so much energy. And for me, the tumbler, you all know the tumbler, I think, and it's a nice symbol because it's always finding balance. And you will never fall down completely, but sometimes you're losing grip, but you will be standing up when you feel stronger. I grew up with a disabled brother. He is 3 years younger than me. And as a mother of a child with epilepsy, I experienced the challenges that come with that. So for me personal, the tumbler is also the the symbol of resilience of parents, how strong you can be. Well, Manoukian also described what the experience of parents. What do parents experience? And often they say, my child is so vulnerable, and so am I. It has so much impact on the family system, especially grandparents, parents-in-law, brothers and sisters, siblings. It has a big impact on them as well. So what do you tell your little child of 4 years about his little baby sister with the GNAO or with another disease? It's very difficult. What language do we use? What do we talk about it? How do we talk about it? Oh, but my partner tells different things than I'm telling. Okay, do we have a problem now? It's so delicate. And where am I? Another aspect is guilt. Parents often feel guilty. They can't do everything for the child or for the siblings. Sometimes feel ashamed when you're, for instance, walking in a supermarket with your child and people are looking and they are avoiding you. There are so many times feelings of loneliness feelings that is coming up. Another big part is stress in the relationship, because we all have learned to cope with, we have coping styles, and we come to that later, and from our own family, this is the way we cope with grief, or this is the way we do things. And in the partner relationship, you both bring another coping with you. So the stress in the relationship can be very tough. And what I see is that there's often a big difference in partners in coping with grief and loss. And one of the main questions parents with a newborn child with a disease ask me, how do we deal with this different way of coping with the illness of our child, with our child's disability, and with the grief and the stress in the relationship? And a mother said to me, I'm so afraid that if I allow this sadness to happen, I won't get out of it. So I don't want to be there. And it's so logical, it's so normal, but it's so stressful as well. And another mother with a child with cystic fibrosis, she told me, I lost my rock. He was always my rock, and now he's hanging on the sofa and I can't reach him anymore. So the impact is so big. And also parents say we drift like islands apart. And I think that's a very fitting metaphor for the dual process model. And I will show you this now. The dual process model is developed by Margaret Strube and Henk Schut from the Netherlands. And it's about our daily life. In our daily life, we all have to deal with loss and grief. And in the same time, life goes on. And as I said, everybody has another way of coping with grief. And this dual process model that specifies the so-called loss-oriented and restoration-oriented pole. So in a way, we oscillate between the loss-oriented and the restoration-oriented phases. And we all do this on our own way, in our own time. I will first focus on the loss-oriented process of coping with bereavement. The loss itself. We grieve, we yearn, it's grief work, we look backwards, how it was. We intrude feelings of grief. We are holding on to how it could have been. And we also might feel resistance to change. I don't want this. I really don't want this. We want to get it away, but it is always here. So we feel sometimes extreme feelings of sadness and despair. We need to share these feelings, but people around us or partners are not always having a space to share the feelings. So you have to have the space at the same time, and that's not always there. So the stress of grief is obvious. And it's pain, it's arguing with reality, it's losing sleep, and it's weighty enough to pin us up to bed. This is in the loss-oriented. When we look at the restoration-oriented phase, we undertake activities, we continue what we were doing, or we are going to do new things. And we welcome distraction from pain. We look forward instead of backward. And mostly our focus is on work, on doing, on solving. And that gives energy. So it's also very important to be in this phase. We continue life, we continue as we're doing always, doing new things, and perhaps with new people. Sometimes we're going to start to work harder or more, or we start a new study or sports or things like that, or start fundraising or do this fantastic work like Eva did. This gives energy, and that's very important. But restoration, while less bleak, is also stressful. Who are we in public? The disability of our child affects every aspect of our day-to-day doings. And all of a sudden we have to make decisions, large or small ones. So in this healthy coping model, we can understood that we have to find a proper balance between the loss-oriented and the restoration-oriented pole. And beneath is standing in the loss-oriented live through, and at the right side the restoration survive. So in a way, in the loss-oriented pole, we live through the emotions. It's another way than survive. We have to cope because we want to be there, and we have to survive. It's a survival coping mechanism. And as I said, surviving, it takes a lot of energy, but it can also give a lot of energy. So that's also very important, I think, in a situation with children who have your child which has a disability. So Strube and Schut said it's a dynamic process of oscillation. In a way, first I go back. The loss-oriented, when you are always in the loss-oriented pole, you will get depressed. And when you are only restoration-oriented, then you will get exhausted. So, and a mother told me she was with her parents both in the loss-oriented phases, and she said, I'm so scared because we disappear in the swamp. So where are we? Where are we? What can we do about this? So it's so important that we can oscillate between those two poles in our own rhythm, with our own feelings. We need to create a kind of balance between the loss and the restoration components. And you see the green oscillation and the red oscillation. And when I work with parents, then most of the time one is more loss-oriented and the other more restoration-oriented. And I take I draw the lines because when you both move to the other side, then you can reach each other. And when you stay only at the side of your pole, only restoration, and the other partner is more loss-oriented, then you can't reach each other anymore. So we have to cross, both have to cross, and we both need time for that to do. And this balancing shall never pass. So the swinging between the grieving and the growing is hard. I have to have a look. So sometimes it's so important to do something positive, future-oriented. And for some people, they think, oh, what are you doing? But it's so important to take care for yourself as a parent and do things that are positive for you. And a mother told me, I can feel so weird because are we allowed to have fun with our sick child? Can we have fun? And they felt so guilty about it. And I said, oh, you don't bother feeling guilty. This is so good. It's so good. You really need this for doing. What you see with children, that's, I have to look at my time. Yes, it goes well, I think. Children oscillate very easily because children of 4 years, 6 years, they are our siblings, they are playing football and they're, for instance, they are very sad and a few moments later they are playing football. But we as adults, we do that not so easy anymore. So that's a big difference. I think I will, no, I'll tell this later. This is what I wanted to tell about a dual process model. And I have some tips for you. There's a Dutch podcast, Levend Verlies. It's about chronic grief in parents of a child with disability and chronic illness. And it's coordinated by Minke Verdonk and Edith Raap from the Netherlands. And the other one is Amanda Griffiths. It's a podcast, I just discovered it lately, and about a rare life. I really can recommend you that if you like to listen podcasts. And here I have some books. Susan Rose, Chronic Sorrow and Living Loss. And beneath that, Manu Keerse, that's a Dutch book. I don't think it's translated in English, but I'm not sure. And Amanda Griffith Atkins is also publishing her book, I think, in between 2 months. And it's about how to handle more than you can handle. And I would like to end with something a mother told me. And she said, no feeling is forever. This is what processing grief is like. I've been here before and I come out of it. This I'm learning is grief. 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Then 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It's complicated and it's by no means a straight line. Thank you for your attention.